name is Riley McLaughlin, and I will be your webinar host for today. Mike Chinchuli is actually going to be doing the presentation, and before I pass it off to him, though, we're going to do some quick housekeeping. Cool. So first step is this webinar does come with a spreadsheet, and Mike, if you can just go ahead and open that spreadsheet real quick.
Absolutely.
So this is the master file. This is not a spreadsheet you'll be able to edit. So what you have to do is make your own copy to then allow you to edit it. So you'll go up to File at the top left and click on Make a Copy. And once you do that, you'll name it whatever you'd like to name it, and then it'll prompt you to select a location. And then when you click Make a Copy, that blue button there, then it'll open up a version that you can actually edit. So this spreadsheet is linked up in the slides. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the chat right now, just so you have it. And it's not really anything you need to be using during the presentation. So, don't spend too much time in that spreadsheet for now. Mike is going to walk through everything that you need to know about it during the presentation, and then you'll have access to it afterwards. So let's go back to the slides. Back a slide real quick. So there will be a Q&A section for this webinar. If you have any questions at all, you can just go ahead and put those in the chat. And just to make sure that's working, if you can just go to the chat section right now and type in how many Main Street ROI trainings you've attended. Curious to see how many people we have back. All right. And then, yes, we are recording. So what's going to happen is tomorrow morning, you're going to get an email with a link to this webinar recording, to the slide doc, and to this spreadsheet. All right, slide, please. So what we're going to cover, the #1 threat facing too many agencies, the top 4 recurring revenue options, common partner pain points, who to sell to and how for quick wins, our 5-step partner growth process, how to deliver exceptional service, why and how to adjust your existing sales process, how we can help, and then we'll move into the live Q&A. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Mike.
Awesome. Well, everybody, it's a pleasure to be speaking with you today. My name is Mike Chinchuli. Some of you might know me. I am the Account Success Manager at Main Street ROI. What I mainly focus on is helping some of our largest partner agencies run their operations. I also help many of our new and existing partners grow their client base and add additional service offerings for their clients. And I help our partners with account management as well. And I'm very proud to announce that this October is actually my 11th year at Main Street ROI. It's been a wonderful journey. As Riley alluded to, we've got a lot of really cool things to go over today. The first thing we're going to go over is the #1 threat to your agency and many of the agencies that I speak with on a regular basis. And that is the feast and famine cycle. So the feast and famine cycle is this vicious cycle, right? Where you don't have consistent workflow and sales happening simultaneously. It's this up and down cycle where you are typically focusing more on sales and less focused on delivery because you're trying to bring in new business. And then as you focus more on sales and sales start to increase, you then have to focus on the delivery of that work that you've sold. By having to have this split focus of alternating between sales and execution and delivery, you end up focusing then less on sales. Sales start to decrease, and then you have to repeat this cycle all over again. As you start to focus on sales again, you're unable to focus on delivery. This is something that I see time and time again with many of our partners, especially as they're getting started with us, where they don't have the ability or maybe the capacity to both handle sales and delivery of services, and they have this up and down cycle. Now, it's really nerve-wracking. The feast and famine cycle can lead to obviously inconsistent lead flow from erratic marketing. It is really a lose-lose situation because clients aren't happy with the quality of service. You're obviously not happy with the volume of sales because you have this split focus alternating between sales and execution and actually delivering on the work that you've sold. Many of our partners tell me that it's a really high stress situation because every month it almost feels like you're starting over. Praying that you're obviously able to make payroll and pay bills. And it obviously leads to a lower valuation of the marketing agency because there's less exit options. Buyers don't necessarily want to purchase a company or get involved with a company that doesn't have predictable revenue. The root cause to this feast and famine cycle is often selling project work. So work that obviously has a start point and an explicit end point. Projects can definitely be good, but many of our partners, especially when we're getting started, they tend to rely on them. The solution obviously is recurring revenue services. This would allow you to confidently predict revenue for future months. You know what sort of revenue and income is coming in. And it obviously eliminates the stress of having to make payroll and worrying if you're going to have enough to obviously pay bills. There was a case study here, and there's many of them that I've worked on in the 11 years of being here at Main Street ROI. But there's one case study in particular that I wanted to talk about, where we were able to assist an agency get out of this feast and famine cycle that I just discussed. They were a web design agency that was only selling website projects, primarily in the insurance space. And that is obviously the epitome of the feast and famine cycle. They were making sales to build websites. They do that project work. While they were busy doing that project work, they weren't able to sell other projects. And then obviously once they finished that project work, they had to immediately begin again and start trying to sell. So it created this really unfortunate up and down cycle. There were even instances where they may have hired people to assist with the project, and then either had to let them go or cease working with them while obviously there was no work to be done. So we started working with this agency in 2019, and we were able to help them add recurring revenue services to the repertoire of offerings for prospective clients. In 2019, they were sitting at around $2,375 per month in revenue. By 2020, that increased to $3,058 per month, or about $36,000 on the year. However, by 2021, we were able to really help them with their sales efforts, and we got their recurring revenue up to over $10,000 per month. By 2022, this had increased to a total of $179,000 per year. And in 2023, the agency was actually acquired. And that was actually his end goal. If there are partners of ours that want to take over the world and build the largest agencies they can, we obviously want to be along with them for that ride. Others have different goals, and he did want to step out and spend more time with his family and honestly play a lot more golf. So the agency was sold in 2023. We were able to obviously help him get to a point where he was able to sell his agency. And we've since partnered with the acquiring agency and have continued to help them grow their recurring revenue. And it's been a wonderful partnership since. And obviously I still hear from this previous partner as well, as he's enjoying time with his family and on the golf course. But we were able to lift him out of this feast and famine cycle of only selling project work by helping him get everything organized and help him offer recurring services, where rather than ending these relationships once a project was done, he was able to continue that and offer them additional services and help out their own businesses. So a lot of people might be saying right now, great, just sell recurring revenue, but what exactly should you sell? How do you sell it? And would you even fulfill on it? So we're going to address those questions throughout this presentation. In terms of what should you sell, I want to talk a little bit about the top 4 recurring revenue services. The first one that we see, and this is ranked by demand in terms of what our partners see, as well as demand with our own direct clients. SEO is incredibly popular. And in my 11 years of being here at Main Street, it's always been one of our leading services. It's become even more important now and more popular now, especially with how search has changed as much as it has in the last couple of years, especially with the inclusion of AI and tools like ChatGPT. With our SEO services, we're not just focused on improving visibility in organic Google search or organic searches in general, but as well as in AI tools such as ChatGPT. So we're getting a lot of demand for SEO for people who are worried about being left behind in this new, situation with AI search and the new landscape, essentially. So SEO is very, very popular. Paid search is always very popular as well. It's particularly Google Ads, right? It's a great option for many businesses. It gives them guaranteed visibility, which is really key. It especially helps, obviously get people to convert a lot faster. SEO can sometimes be slow at first. You have to build a foundation. So Google Ads is really great. The one caveat there is they obviously will need some ads budget. Right, they will need to have enough money to provide a competitive ad spend. If competition is spending a minimum of $3,000 a month in ad spend, they might need to match that or be close to it to be competitive. Organic social is obviously very popular as well. It's a natural add-on to SEO services, truly. We really feel that organic social media can complement SEO quite well. And so it's a natural add-on for SEO. And then last but not least is paid social. This can include Facebook, this can include LinkedIn, but these options are also really good too. Just like Google Ads, they do require that the client have enough budget to support whatever is the necessary amount of ad spend. But Facebook allows for some tremendous demographic targeting that is really, really interesting. And LinkedIn ads is really powerful for getting in front of people who make business decisions, right? So LinkedIn is really great for B2B, and Facebook ads is really great for B2C. But again, it does require obviously that ad spend. SEO is the easiest, as well as organic social media, the easiest to get involved in. The costs are obviously a little bit lower. The client doesn't have to pay, say, Google, Facebook, or LinkedIn, whatever ad spend that might be. So those are more flexible typically for people to get in through the door. So that's why SEO tends to be as popular as it is as well. It's more cost effective. Now, another thing that I want to cover too is common partner pain points. I speak with many of our partners on a weekly basis, and I meet new partners and prospective partners all the time. And I see a lot of common themes in terms of pain points that are limiting their ability to grow their digital marketing agency. So I kind of want to go through some of these and address how we're able to assist with these. So one of the main common partner pain points that I see is limited sales capacity or not having a dedicated salesperson. Many of partners that I speak with don't have enough people on their team to consistently focus on sales without a dedicated salesperson or a sales process in place, and they struggle to generate new recurring revenue while managing day-to-day client work. It may not even be a situation where they're in this project-based focus, but instead, they just simply don't have the capacity, and even if they are doing recurring services, they still hit a ceiling with how much they're able to, essentially juggle by themselves. Another common partner pain point is difficulty of selling services outside their core expertise. So many of our partners might be able to sell the service offerings that fall within their wheelhouse. So if they're a web development agency and they know how to build websites, they've been doing it for years, they have no issue selling that service. But if they're trying to start to incorporate recurring revenue services such as SEO, Google Ads, or social media, they might have difficulty actually selling these. They can't speak confidently to them because maybe they haven't actually worked on them before. So it's hard to kind of get involved in it, right? To step through that. So this obviously can limit growth opportunities and leaves potential revenue on the table. Another one is just simply lack of expertise in that specific services. It's very related to number two, but not just the selling of the service, but actually executing it and doing the work in-house. So many of our partners don't have the in-house expertise to maybe do SEO, social media, or advertising. One thing that I see with a lot of our digital marketing agencies partners that focus on web development is that they have an understanding of what's important for SEO. So they're able to launch websites that have a somewhat decent base level of SEO, but they don't have the expertise in being able to sustain that on a monthly basis. Pay attention to algorithm updates from Google and what the competition is doing, and kind of handle that consistent research and consistent sort of SEO maintenance that's required. SEO is one of those situations, right, where if you're not doing something on a monthly basis, you might as well be going backwards, because essentially, your competition is moving forward. So there's situations like that where our partners just feel like they maybe don't have the expertise to truly fulfill on things appropriately every single month. Another pain point that I see a lot of times is the desire to simply reduce their personal involvement in fulfilling certain services. I often speak with partners who have been working for a long time, and they would like to take a bit of a step back while, being able to obviously still grow their agency, but not be as hands-on. So many of our partners want to try to scale that back a little bit and regain a better work-life balance, spend more time with their family, maybe play more golf like I talked about earlier. So they're essentially struggling to really separate themselves from having their sleeves rolled up and getting dirty with the work on a daily basis. Some of them obviously lack the expertise in some specific services too, and can't speak confidently to it, which can limit their growth. And last but not least, some of our partners are simply uninterested in certain services. I always laugh thinking about this, but there's a partner of ours that we work with closely. They do a wonderful job with branding and design and website development. But she told me one day she just finds SEO boring and she doesn't want to do it. and I can't blame her for that. So if there's certainly services that you just are uninterested in doing yourself, but there's demand for it, that obviously creates a bit of an issue with being able to introduce that sort of recurring service and recurring revenue. And that is oftentimes why they're reaching out to speak with us, because they were looking for somebody that can fulfill on the work that they don't really want to do, while maintaining, and allowing them to spend more time doing the things they do want to. Another thing that I want to cover is who to sell to. So there's really two buckets or two phases that when we're thinking about sales. So phase one is obviously selling to existing and past clients. If you are in that situation where you are, say, an agency that's primarily focuses on web development, you likely have a large repertoire of businesses that you have a good relationship with, people that are happy, say, with the websites that you've built. So beginning those conversations with people that you already have these relationships with, existing or past clients, is the first phase. There's not as much trust building. They already trust you. They may already like you, hopefully. But those are the easiest conversations to have. For example, with many of the agencies that we work with that focus on web development, one of the easiest conversations is to simply go back to these clients and say, hey, listen, we've been keeping an eye on your website and we're really proud of the work that we were able to do. This website really needs more consistent work to stay competitive and to stay at the top of the Google top of Google search, or remain or get visible in AI search long term. So those are obviously the easier conversations to start. Maybe you're an agency that primarily focuses on social media, and you would like to introduce them to SEO. Again, speaking with clients that you're already fulfilling that work on is a lot easier to introduce new services to. Our second phase is incorporating recurring services into your proposals from the get-go. So again, if you are doing a lot of project work, including in those proposals options for recurring services, for monthly work, just to get that conversation started, much earlier in the process, is a lot easier. So I highly recommend trying to incorporate recurring services, even as a footnote in any proposals or any conversations you have regarding project-related work. Now, one thing that I want to cover is particularly our 5-step partner growth process. This is how we directly work with partners and agencies to help them grow their own agencies. A lot of this stuff, though, you can do on your own. but many of our partners still prefer to work with us anyway, just to help them stay organized, bounce ideas off of each other. So we're going to go through those 5 steps. There's many documents and links that are included in here. I'm going to share my screen, and we'll obviously go through each of these individual documents. These are also linked from that initial spreadsheet that we had you make a copy of earlier on in this presentation. So the 5-step process starts with what we call our agency needs assessment, or our partnership questionnaire. It essentially allows us to better understand our partners, and helps us create a more custom and curated process throughout the approach throughout the rest of this process. Step 2 is where we highly recommend that our partners, give some thought to what sort of recurring services they would want to sell and what does that even look like. So on our end, we do have some packages and options available to get that conversation started. So we review and finalize packages for new and existing clients, iron out fees and deliverables, just to get everything in order and make sure we feel confident we know what we're going to want to sell to people. The third one is obviously creating branded proposals, creating good killer proposals and case studies. So obviously, if you're going to go on this on your own, we highly recommend trying to incorporate case studies when possible. We realize a lot of partners we work with may, obviously, if they're trying to get started with recurring services, they don't have case studies to showcase recurring work. So we do have case studies that we allow our partners to utilize, so that they can essentially convey to the client what they should expect with their services. And then as we work together with our partners, we create new case studies on the accounts that we're actually working together with. But proposals in general are very important. I see a lot of times when working with new partners that they're either creating custom proposals on the fly every time that they're doing work. They don't look all that appealing. There are many tools out there to create nice proposals, but really the presentation there also matters a great deal. So I highly recommend focusing on creating a nice proposal that aligns with the recurring services. Then part of our process is the ability to provide sales assistance too, because we realize a lot of our partners, earlier on in the process too, maybe can't speak all that confidently to recurring services. So we're able to provide some sales assistance, and we'll touch more on that in a minute. And then last but not least, project management and account management support. We realize with a lot of our partners, they might be scaling at this point as they're trying to introduce recurring revenue services. And we are able to provide them with that project and account management support, so that they can stay organized and stay transparent with their clients. So we're going to touch on all of these in a little bit more detail. First up is the agency needs assessment. So before building a custom growth plan, it's really important for us to understand exactly the situation that our partner agency is in. What does their current situation look like? What are goals that they want to accomplish? And what are their roadblocks to growth? By better understanding these things, we're able to help them prepare a growth plan for exactly how we can essentially introduce recurring services and increase the revenue on a monthly and annual basis. So our agency needs assessment is essentially a structured questionnaire that we ask our partners to fill out. Sometimes we fill them out with them, but it really gives us a great lay of the land for what's going on. So we identify agencies' pain points and growth targets. Obviously, we'll evaluate some of their current sales and what services they're currently offering and what does their current team or their capacity situation look like. We understand, what do our partners most enjoy working on, and what do they want to continue working on, and what else would they like to introduce, and where do they need that support. And then we define measurable goals to help grow recurring revenue. Partners, like I mentioned, can do this assessment themselves. We share this questionnaire with them, but we also love working on this together with our partners. So we're more than happy to hop on calls and actually walk through the questionnaire itself and help fill it out with them. Once we have a better understanding of where our partners are and what we need to do and what services they're at a high level they're interested in, we need to review and finalize packages. So with us, obviously, like I mentioned, we do have some packages and, for each of our different services that our partners can get started with and we can help refine. If you're not working with us, this is where you would, after understanding where you're currently at and what you really want to do, this is where you need to start thinking about what services you're actually going to offer and what do those actually look like. Are there packages? Is it going to be more custom work? Whatever it might be. So we sit down with our partners and we identify what those top services are that they're really interested in. Maybe we talk to them about some of their existing clients. Have they mentioned any services that they're interested in? Or based on the services that our partners currently provide, what makes most sense to naturally start to include? For example, a couple of weeks ago, I was on with a newer partner of ours who primarily focuses in videography and social media. SEO is a natural complement, like I've mentioned multiple times, to social media. So we got started with that. Many of our, some of our partners will create websites from a lot of B2B agencies, a lot of B2B businesses. So introducing something like LinkedIn, both organic and advertising, is a really good fit in that instance because that's where they can get in front of other people, other business decision makers. So we sit down, we review, and we confirm what packages best match their clients' needs and budgets. We may determine, again, we have a starting off point of packages. We may determine that we need to introduce new packages. Maybe there's gaps that need to fill. Maybe we need to create something a little bit lower than what we have. Maybe we need to create something that's a little bit higher. So we can help and we iron out those exact services and packages that we want to sell. Now, what I would like to take a moment to do is actually look at our example packages so you can kind of see how we organize things. Obviously, this is included in the spreadsheet that we've asked you to download earlier or make a copy of. But if you want to go out and do this on your own, at the minimum, we recommend organizing it in a similar way that we've organized it. So we're going to come over here, and you'll see that and again, this is mostly used obviously as an internal document for us and our partners. We list out in here all of the individual services that we provide. And as we go on through, you'll see that we have different package options. So we have our SEO packages. They range everywhere from an economy to an ultra. In this document, you can see our actual fees, as well as typically what our partners would add as a markup. So for example, in this economy for SEO, if we're sitting at around $550, most of our partners sell this at around $715. 30% markup tends to be the most common, although we certainly have partners that go up to 100% or even a little bit higher. But we like to organize these packages as a nice starting off point. But like I mentioned earlier, if for example, there's a gap here between 1,600 and 2,300, we'll sit down with our partners and we may create a new package that falls somewhere between here. Do we need to come somewhere a little bit lower than 550? Maybe we create a new package here at the front. So we iron all of this stuff out, tweak some of the deliverables. There might even be instances on the SEO front, for example, that our partner, they want to handle the content. Maybe they have staff writers. Maybe they enjoy writing content. We might want to tweak some of these packages to change some of the content offerings and what we might work on, what they might work on. This document also includes options for other services as well. So we've got Google ads in here, as well as social media ads, organic social media. Here's another really good example that I'll touch on. When I first got started with this document, a couple of years ago, we've obviously refined it over time. We originally had 3 social media options for B2C businesses. After consistent meetings with our partners and seeing how there was demand for more custom options, we started to see a theme, and we added additional package offerings. So it's also really important to be flexible and kind of see, what people seem to be most interested in, and maybe incorporate those as actual mainstays. But we do highly recommend taking the approach of offering more package options. While we definitely still can provide custom offerings for our partners, and we, tell agencies all the time that they should be as flexible as possible. It's nice to still have packages because it's something that you can speak confidently to, you can feel comfortable with, especially while getting started. Sometimes with custom work, things can get a little bit swirly, but if you create some packages and you feel confident and comfortable speaking about them, that will come through on sales calls too. So as you get into a rhythm and you have multiple calls, with prospective clients going through these package offerings, you'll be able to speak to them more naturally. We also highly recommend, dabbling in bundled offerings because SEO and social media complement each other so well, and we see those sales happen quite often, typically together. We also have some bundled options in here, and I would recommend that our partners think about bundling services too, primarily because it's really great when you can offer a full service offering for somebody where you take control of really all of their different channels that they're focused on, rather than just maybe one small piece of the pie, maybe just SEO. If you're able to offer and take full control and assist them with their entire marketing efforts, it builds a lot of trust, and it creates a really good, healthy relationship with the client, and it allows you to obviously have more control over the results themselves. I'm going to go back to this now for a minute. After we've reviewed and finalized these packages and our partners know exactly what they want to sell and what those price points are going to be, then the next thing we need to do is obviously create that really good proposal. So that can include these package offerings. So we recommend obviously creating dedicated proposals for each of the different types of services. And we assist our partners with this. So again, proposals and the presentation is really important in a sales effort. So many times with our partners, what we'll do is, when we speak about potential prospective opportunities with potential clients, we will actually go ahead and create branded proposals for each of our partners for each of those specific opportunities. So I would like to show you what an idea of our proposals look like. But we do have a really neat system here at Main Street ROI, where we have an email inbox that you could shoot an email over to. It's opportunity@mainstreetroi.com. And if you email that inbox, we actually have a dedicated team of people that we call our lead processing center. And they are dedicated to receive those emails and will prepare analyses and proposals for our partners to help them with their sales efforts. Because while it's obviously, time consuming and a bit overwhelming to first get into recurring services, we realize that actually understanding what clients need is a whole different ballgame. It's one thing selling SEO, but making sure that you're actually selling something that's going to work. So what we do is we have this system here where partners are able to contact us, let us know of a prospective client. We will review the client. We will do an analysis, and we will prepare a client-facing, ready-to-go branded proposal for our partners that has a good analysis in there with our recommendations, and obviously which recommended package or service we'd recommend that they move forward with. So I would like to show you what this proposal looks like briefly, as well as what an example of one of these analyses look like. But whether or not you in the future ever decide to work with us or not, I highly recommend taking this approach of putting together some initial notes for a prospective client of where they're currently situated and how you'd recommend moving forward. So if we come over here, this is a made-up proposal for an agency that doesn't exist. It's agencycollc.com. But this is an example of a branded proposal that we're able to help our partners create. This one is in particular for SEO. And we have a lot of really good information in here. We cover, obviously, information about our partners' agency themselves, but we talk about why that they should invest in SEO. We talk a little bit about our SEO process and what goes into good SEO. We talk about what does the current search landscape look like, especially with the advent and the inclusion of AI. Then obviously we talk about case studies. We obviously go through the analyses. And all of this is available within that initial spreadsheet that we shared earlier today. You can see that we again talk about our partners' agency's expertise and what makes them unique. We do talk about why we recommend investing in SEO and how it's investing in their future. We essentially, like I talked about, we like to talk about how search has changed and how SEO services can improve businesses' visibility in tools like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Bing Copilot, and so on and so forth. We talk a bit about our SEO process. We call it the 4 R's, about research, relevance, reputation, and results. What's included in the SEO services. So from the auditing to the link building to the content creation, analytics, and reporting. We go through all of this within this proposal, and then we eventually link to an initial analysis that we create for all of our partners and for all of their sales opportunities. So if we were to click into this, one of the analyses that we prepare, say for an SEO, is we like to, and I highly recommend if you're going to do this yourself, we like to touch on what we call our 4 pillars. And that's the backlink profile, that's current rankings, that is their current content situation, what does website content look like, as well as maybe the state of blogging or long tail content. So, but it doesn't matter if it's SEO or Google ads or social media. We will prepare one of these for our partners every single time that they have a sales opportunity, because we understand that it's really important to showcase strategy when speaking early on with prospective clients, so they can understand exactly what our approach looks like. Many times I've seen from other agencies don't get into this much detail, especially early on, and it has been a real game changer. Our partners have told us to have something like this to speak to, have some talking points for those initial calls, to essentially get the sale. And it inspires a lot of confidence in the prospective client, that the agency is up to the task of turning their business around and accomplishing the goals that they would like to accomplish. So we help our partners after we've ironed out the pricing. We get started and we prepare branded proposals. We create templates for all of this stuff, so we're ready to go whenever prospective clients come up. Our 4th step includes our sales assistants. So we help our partners close more sales by actually offering hands-on direct support throughout the entire sales process. It's not just putting together the analyses and it's not just putting together the proposals, but we regularly meet with our partners to strategize and review sales efforts. We evaluate prospective clients, determine which services make the most sense to sell to them. We provide obviously those detailed analyses that I just went over and the white label proposals to help that are ready to share with the clients. But a step further, we even join sales calls with our partners, completely white labeled, as a member of their team, and we will help walk through the proposals and walk through the analyses. Now, many of our partners take us up on these offers early on, but as they feel more confident, they might start to take on those sales calls a little bit more by themselves once they feel comfortable speaking about the individual services. There's a partner of mine that a couple of years ago, we were joining these calls and we were doing this exact same process, and only after a few months I noticed that it went from us mostly leading those calls to it becoming more of a tag teamed effort, as they felt comfortable being able to speak to SEO and Google ads and Facebook ads. So it's actually really cool to also see our partners grow over time, and then they're able to oftentimes start handling those calls by themselves. But we are always available to assist them on those sales meetings. I would like to just briefly touch on this process of staying organized with sales. This is included again in that spreadsheet that we had you make a copy of early on. Whether or not you again decide to work with us or you prefer to work on your own, we have found both internally for our own efforts as well as with our partners, it's really obviously important to stay organized, and I would like to show you our exact process for how we do stay organized and we keep track of prospective clients and obviously our proposals and analyses. It's not something that's rocket science. It's actually all done within a Google spreadsheet. So if I were to show this right now, we have a couple of different tabs in here. The very first tab is what we call our agency revenue calculator. So this is where we, when we're doing it ourselves or when we're working with partners, are able to list out, say how many clients that we have, what our growth target might be, and the average fees that the clients are signing up for. And it allows us at a really quick glance, right, in a really simple way, just to see what revenue might escalate to and what our growth would actually look like over time. So really, really simple, just, obviously all done in a spreadsheet, but it's nice to visualize this and set these sorts of goals. Moving on to the next tab, we call this our marketing list. And this is where we list out all prospective clients that we're either in conversations with or we'd like to reach out to. And again, at a quick glance, we just organize a matrix of which services we think are most appropriate for them. So these are all made up businesses, but you can see here this first one, Widgets Corporation. which is not the most clever name, but Widgets Corporation, we identified in this example that SEO would be a really good fit. For this other business, Bright Path Wellness, we feel that Google Ads would be a really good fit, and so on and so forth. It's just nice to stay organized here. Once we've identified which services might be the best fit for a particular business and their industry, or based on whatever needs that they have and goals that they're trying to accomplish, we then put together the actual analyses and proposals. So if we go one tab over, the next step is obviously creating those analyses and creating those proposals, and we keep those organized in this next tab. So we've got, again, the list of clients, the services that we are thinking about selling them or proposing to them. We stay organized with, hey, when are we going to have that call, or when's the deadline to have all of this work organized? And then we keep a status column of whether or not we still need to prepare the recommendations, or if they've been reviewed with the client, or if they've been rejected, or if they're still pending feedback, whatever it might be. And then obviously a link to all of our recommendations is here in column G, so we can quickly access them whenever needed. And you can see here, this is the one that we looked at just a little bit ago for Widgets Corporation. As we go on further to the right, we have a tab in here that has a bunch of email templates. These have worked really well for us, as well as for our partners. These are both good for some cold outreach or reaching out to people that you already have relationships with. They directly align with things that we find in our analyses. So for example, for SEO, if they have a low domain authority or poor keyword visibility, we have templates that we can utilize to go reach out to them and let them know, hey, we've conducted an analysis, we identified some issues and something that we'd like to discuss with you, essentially a plan and a strategy to turn things around. So these have worked very well for us, and we essentially have shared them with our partners and people that we work with. We may want to tweak them a little bit so they sound a little bit more like you if they need to be changed, but these have worked incredibly well for us. And then last but not least is just a tab in here that has some helpful links. So there's for example, our link to the pricing document that we had looked at before. And we do this both internally and on a regular basis with our partners. I meet with our partners either on a weekly or a monthly basis, bi-weekly, whatever it might be, and we go through that exact same spreadsheet together, or we talk through these sales opportunities. And then last but not least, once a client has actually signed on, we are able to provide them with that account management and project management support. We obviously realize that, especially if you're in a situation like that feast and famine cycle where you don't maybe even necessarily have the staff to take on recurring work, how are you possibly going to maybe handle all the account management and project management support if you already have some limited time? So we want to alleviate that stress and take that away from our partners, and we're able to support them with account management and project management support. We take this in two different folds. From a project management standpoint, we have same page meetings with our partners, so they're fully aware of everything being worked on an account, progress of accounts, both from a performance standpoint and deliverable standpoint. What are some of the things that we're working on right now? What are some of the things we're working on next? What does performance look like? What does our strategy look like? Just so that we are able to be as transparent as possible with our partners, and we can be as transparent as possible with their clients. We also provide automated and monthly reporting so for performance. So we could send out automated reports either to our partners or straight to our partners' clients, so they can see how our efforts are evolving over time and how performance is improving. We even have dashboards that our partners can log into, so they can see performance whenever they would like. They don't have to wait for an automated report to go out. And likewise, we're able to share those dashboards with our partners' clients as well, completely white labeled, so they can also log in and see how things are going. It's up to our partners whether or not they would like us to create those client-facing logins, but at minimum, we always give logins to our partners so they have access to everything whenever they would like. I want to show you for a minute what that sort of agenda also looks like when meeting on a regular basis. So let's say we were meeting about widgetscorporation.com. They've recently signed up for SEO services. We go over what are some of the things that we've recently been focused on. We list them out very clearly and diligently. We talk about what's working, what does performance look like, how are rankings improving, what does organic traffic look like, how do things look both month over month and year over year. We talk about opportunities to improve. Are there new things that we should be targeting? We're frequently doing competitor analyses and research. What are our findings from that research? What have we learned from it? And what do we want to start doing going forward? We might even include some suggestions or recommendations for additional services. For example, if they're doing SEO and we feel like Google Ads could also help bring more leads, we might recommend Google Ads, and we'll include some notes about that. And we also put together a summary of recommendations and priorities, so it's really easy to copy and paste this into an email and send it straight to a client. This system has worked unbelievably well because we realize a lot of partners, by the time they come to us, if they're not fulfilling everything in-house and they happen to be working with another partner or another vendor before us, there's often this issue of transparency and figuring out what is going on. So we always want to be as transparent as possible with our partners and make it as easy as possible for them to find both notes and information on performance or on the work being done on a monthly basis. Now, there are some small but important details I want to cover. When you open up our proposal, obviously in the spreadsheet that we had you copy earlier today, you will notice that we have information on our, say, contract lengths. Our template proposal does include month-to-month terms. For partners that aren't month-to-month, we can adjust that as needed. Obviously, we would have your own terms and conditions within those proposals. We highly recommend being month to month. We have learned from our direct clients and even partner clients that are month to month that it starts relationships off very well with prospective clients, as they don't feel like they're already locked in from the get-go. But we totally understand if you would prefer to lock people into more of a 6 or a 12-month contract, because it creates a bit of a safety net, right? That you don't have clients maybe potentially leaving whenever they might. We do have a 30-day cancellation notice typically, but maybe as you get more confidence, you can experiment with 6 to 12-month contracts. But we personally recommend being month to month. It starts the relationship off really well with clients. And we hope that our services speak for themselves, and obviously clients see results and don't want to cancel. In terms of payment terms, we highly recommend and strongly recommend receiving payments upfront versus post-pay. It's really obviously annoying chasing people down. You might be in a situation that's not all that much better, potentially worse than the feast and famine cycle, where you're delivering even more work, but you're still not getting even paid. So we highly recommend receiving payment upfront before services. And then in terms of payment processing, we highly recommend requiring credit cards. It's obviously a lot easier to make sure that you can just charge something on file on a regular basis. And again, we typically recommend a 30-day cancellation notice. It helps tie up any loose ends and obviously prepare for that client offboarding. In terms of how to deliver exceptional service, so obviously there's two options for fulfillment. You could do it in-house yourself if you have the resources and the expertise, and obviously the other option is working with an agency that does have a proven process. So if you were looking for an agency partner, these are some of the things that I would look for. Obviously, transparency is key. What exactly are they working on a monthly basis? Many agencies operate in black boxes, and it's really hard for partners to tell even what is happening on an account basis or on a regular basis for their accounts. They might get asked by their clients, hey, what have you worked on this month? And if you're not even able to get that information out of them, it's going to be a really difficult time retaining that client. So value transparency. Fast response times are also really important too. If you've got a client breathing down your neck about a question, you want to be able to get a hold of somebody fast and easily. So, ourselves, we are stateside in the United States. We've got team members all over the country. I'm particularly in New York, but we have worked with other partners that have maybe worked with vendors or other agencies outside of the country. And we know that, time zone differences and stuff can also create a real hassle and cause an issue with retention. So value fast response times, of course, so you never get yourself in a hot situation with a client. Sales and account management support obviously is really important too, but most white label providers stop at fulfillment and they don't really take that next step in helping with sales assistance, things like the branded proposals, client-facing account management, which we're able to assist with. And obviously, if an agency is able to provide sales and account management support, that really allows your own agency to scale faster without needing to hire or overextending your own team. When this goes out, there is a link in here with some video testimonials of partners that we've worked with and some of the nice things that they have to say about working with us and how we've been able to help them scale without overextending themselves. There's also some other things that we highly recommend. Robust reporting is really important. Clients not only want to know what's been going on, they want to see results and they want to know how their performance looks. So highly recommend, obviously, working with an agency that provides really good reporting. Again, this goes hand in hand with transparency. Obviously, one that has a process for being able to meet regularly so you can get information that you need and it doesn't feel like you're pulling teeth. So you can understand which accounts are performing well and what work is being done on a regular basis. And obviously, if they have availability for client-facing emails and calls, and being client-facing is really important too, so you don't feel like you're as much of a middleman and can include somebody on calls that is able to tag team those with you. In terms of if you were to say work with us, I would like to show you an example of what your partner team might look like. So on our end, if you were to partner with us, you do have a partner growth specialist. This is someone that helps put together a growth plan, meets with you on a regular basis, manages sales opportunities. You'll have a dedicated partner account manager as well. This would be your point of contact for weekly updates. This person is on call to provide status updates when your clients have questions. You'll get a strategist related to the given service. So these are the experts that are working mostly behind the scenes, but will join calls too as needed. They'll help get through tough client questions, talk about strategy, and get nitty gritty when needed. But they're also running the strategy at point behind the scenes with a team of analysts. And then last but not least, a billing person. This is somebody on our team that you're able to email, that you're able to get in contact with where clients are active, or if they need to pause an account, or if there's a billing change, whatever it might be. But we have somebody that's fast and responsive that you can communicate with. I want to talk just briefly about adjusting your sales process too. So I highly recommend modifying your proposals and trying to upsell quarterly. So modifying your proposals, and I know I talked on this a little bit earlier too, but I highly recommend modifying your proposals to include options for clients to add recurring services, especially if you're doing project work. Start that conversation from the get-go. That's really important. Also, every quarter, reviewing clients, both past and existing clients, just to redo this 5-step growth process to keep upselling. So, even if you're working with somebody that's already doing SEO, at least on a quarterly basis, reevaluate your clients, see if there's services that you're not currently providing them that could be beneficial for them, or review previous clients that you've done work for and get in contact with them and see, hey, what's going on? Is there any way that I be able to assist you, further assist your marketing efforts? In terms of the ways that we're able to help, we are able to help by adding recurring revenue without hiring. In one example here, we did work with a small web design company that had no recurring revenue and had very limited bandwidth. We were able to create custom packages and handle all the fulfillment that grew annual recurring revenue to 6 figures. This was that initial case study that I talked about, and they have since sold their agency, and he's playing a lot of golf and hanging out with his family. So this is what he had to say. It's a very nice testimonial. He said, Main Street ROI has been an invaluable partner over the past 4 years. Their expertise, their process, and proactive team has been crucial in helping us expand our services and support our growing client base without the need to hire additional full-time staff. He said the collaboration has been a win-win for both of his clients and his business, and he couldn't be more grateful for the great relationship we built together. We've also obviously able to help expand your services. So there was a PPC agency that wanted to start offering SEO services through their advertising clients to better serve them and generate additional revenue and growth. So we developed pricing and service packages to match their clients' needs and budgets, and we managed all the fulfillment, including monthly reporting, and we even joined calls with them when they needed that extra support when communicating with clients. Charles had this to say. He said, Main Street has been an essential partner over the past 4 years, or over the past year, from small projects like web design and keyword research to major SEO efforts for large websites. We've consistently delivered excellent results. As they continue to grow, they're excited to keep partnering with us for all of their marketing needs. Thank you, Charles. We've even been able to assist with fixing bottlenecks to growth. So there was an agency that had a strong sales team, but had a limited capacity to actually fulfill on the work for SEO, Google Ads, and Facebook ads. So we developed packages and proposals for their sales team to use, and we managed all the fulfillment behind the scenes, including monthly reporting, so our partner could just handle the client communication and their sales efforts. Our partner that has since added $200,000 in annual recurring revenue in 2 years, allowing them to grow without taking on any increased overhead or costs. This is what Danny had to say. He said we've worked with Main Street for nearly a decade now, and he was one of the first partners I ever worked with. And they are without a doubt the most trusted partner. Their expertise, strategic thinking, and ability to stay ahead of the industry trends has been invaluable, especially when working with our large law firm clients across the country. Whether it's Phil or Pete, they're always available, responsive, and full of creative, actionable ideas that truly drive results. It's been a great 10 years, and we're looking forward to the next 10. We've also replaced existing partners too that have unfortunately been in bad situations. Digital marketing agency had 25 clients and was outsourcing monthly SEO and Google Ads to a third-party vendor. The agency's owner was very unhappy with the quality of service, and he was looking for a partner who could provide higher quality work, customized services, and helps them scale up. We've since been able to help them increase their recurring revenue by over 10x. Robert had this to say. He said, working with Main Street as our fulfillment partner has not only allowed them to provide higher quality services to their clients, but to also significantly expand their client base and the variety of services that they offer. We helped integrate Google Ads campaign management as a service and has provided them with a new revenue channel while adding value to their clients' bottom line. Main Street's team is knowledgeable, responsive, and flexible, and highly recommend them as referral white label partners. I wish I had known about them years ago. That's very kind words, Robert. So my question for you is, would you like us to grow your agency's recurring revenue with you? Is Main Street ROI a good fit? We would be a good fit if any of these statements are true. You have a list of existing and past clients, you have consistent flow of new clients each month, or you're working with another vendor but you're not happy. I'm curious if anybody thinks that we're a good fit. Would you be able to answer the poll and Riley, we would like them to type in the chat growth strategy session?
Sure, so I'm gonna put the poll up now.
Anybody that feels like we might be a good fit, just let us know.
All right, so we'll keep this poll up for another, let's do 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, okay.
Excellent. So now Riley has actually recently told me that this link that we have in here isn't working for him right now. So I'm going to have to look into that. But I would love to meet with anybody that is interested and schedule a free 30-minute agency growth strategy session where we can talk more personally, figure out what your current situation looks like and how we'd be able to better help you. If anybody is interested in this, please write in the chat growth strategy session. We'll be in contact with you and we'll get something scheduled. And Riley, I will fix this link for sure.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, anybody that's interested, feel free to type in growth strategy session and we will be in contact with you guys. All right, well, guys, thank you very much. We have been able to help partners now, again, over my 11 years here, grow their agencies, introduce services that they never thought that they'd be able to provide, and grow to heights that they never thought that they'd be able to as well. Whether, again, that's, you want to take over the world and become the best agency at what you do, we would love to help you do that. Or if you simply want to grow and get to a point where you can sell and go do something else, that's also totally fine. But we are here to help. I'm curious if anybody has any questions for me that I could potentially answer.
So there is one question. Do you do local SEO with GBP optimization and ranking on local Google Map?
We do, yes. Google, for local clients, Google Business Profile is unbelievably important. And we definitely focus our strategy and our optimizations on a regular basis to improve their local rankings. We can work with anybody who's local or national, and we have a different, obviously, a custom strategic approach for every client we work with. But especially for local businesses, we definitely focus on the Google Business Profile and local rankings.
Perfect. Well, that's really the only question that I saw, and I know we're at about time. So, yeah, I want to thank everyone for attending. Just to sum everything up, this webinar recording will be sent out tomorrow via email, so you'll get that in your email. You'll also get a link to the slide doc, and you'll get a link to the spreadsheet. So you'll have links to everything. And of course, if you typed in growth strategy session, we will be in touch. So thanks again, everyone, and thanks so much, Mike, for this awesome presentation.
Absolutely, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I hope some of you do get in contact with me, and be more than happy to help you grow your agency.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone, and we'll see you on the next webinar.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.